Hello and welcome, ma'am. I'm Susheta Sengupta Roy from Swami Vivekananda Institute of Modern Science, Department of Media Science. Well, I have been giving tutorials about media laws, and today we'll be discussing a very new subject, and it's ever growing subject. It's a cybercrime. In my last video, I have already spoken about cyberspace, so you can very well understand where there is such a huge space. Quite obvious, there will be options or there will be opportunities for criminals to do something or the other which is wrong. So that's what we call as a cybercrime, and cybercrime is basically computer oriented crime. Now this is not typically the Indian penal code type of a crime wherein everything is done in a forefront. Here the major problem is it's rare and it's very difficult to really understand, or literally it is it's indefinite to understand your enemy, because your enemy is somewhere hidden in the cyberspace. Now let's understand what's the cybercrime, and what's basically, we'll start out with a background. Like, where did this cybercrime come in from? So regime of internet is growing rapidly. We know that initially the computer was only about offline work, but then ultimately it became the online system. And with the online system, it has become, as I already told you before in my other tutorial, that it's a huge space, it's a huge digital world outside. So as and with the growth of internet, quite obvious, it has become like this internet and this digital space has become an integral part of our life, from children to adult, and like everybody is somewhere into it. So it has like somebody, even an aged person maybe, who doesn't even know how to handle a computer, but at present they are ordering their medicines in Medlife or pharmacy, or these type of medicine apps, Apollo, Frank Cross. So there are so many medicine apps. So at present, even old people, like people are 60s 70s, they cannot go out of their house and go to a shop to buy their own medicines, but they know how to use an Android phone, and they are ordering medicines through the net, through some app. So everybody is something, somewhere or the other, is part of the cyberspace now. So it has endless benefits for the citizens. However, its dark side can be avoided. One of the major advantage or disadvantage, well, there are advantages, but the disadvantage is always the cybercrime. But not only cybercrime, although another part I think we have rarely been discussing about, and there is no much of proof about it, that's the dark web. uh, the criminal web, or the people, the criminals are all under one web. It's called the dark web. So I think we cannot even discuss in a written format there, because it's not proved yet, yes, but dark web does exist. So everybody, in a common people like us, has to be and have to be aware of it and protect ourselves from this dark web or the cybercrime part. So then, what is cybercrime? So in a narrow sense, it is computer crime, an illegal act that directly attacks computer system security or data processed by computer. So basically, it may be somebody who enters your computer, steals out your essential documents from the computer. That's called the, this is a cybercrime. But in broader sense, it is a computer related crime in which computers or computer networks are a tool, a target, or a place of criminal activity. Well, this crime is done through a computer, from a computer, but ultimately victim is not a computer, but the victim are humans. Financially, sometimes there are identity theft or these type of things, but ultimately, due to the cybercrime, although this crime is done by a computer, through a computer, but obviously the victim are humans. So it has a unique modus operandi and can be committed being domiciled in any part of the world. Well, for a computer crime to be done in India, the person, the criminal, may not be in India. He may be somewhere in Ukraine and maybe doing a crime in India. So like it can be that as I already clarified in my other video in cyberspace. So it's a huge world under one platform now. Due to the cyberspace, everything has come under one platform. So now cybercrime is easy to commit, hard to detect, and often hard to locate, because you don't know where it can be. It can be The world is a platform, and that's it. So, history of cybercrime. The first recorded cybercrime took place in 1820. You can really understand how ancient it is. So, in 1820, Joseph Maria Jacquard, a textile manufacturer in France, produced the loom. So the device allowed the repetition of a series of steps in the weaving of special fabrics. So this resulted in a fear amongst Jacquard's employees that their traditional employment and livelihood were being threatened, because if the machine does the work of humans, obviously humans may lose their jobs. So it was a threatened. It was a major threat. So they committed acts of sabotage to discourage Jacquard from further use of this new technology. So this was the first recorded cybercrime. So how did they do it? Obviously, the machine was corrupted. So because it was a machine being corrupted, so obviously it was the first recorded cybercrime. So how many types of cybercrime can we notice at present? So the rate of cybercrime has increased day to day, as I told you, that obviously, with the change of time, with the more of digital platforms being used by humans now and more of technical devices, I think due to this online classes, even in a kid of class 2, class 3, they all are using Android mobiles now. So more of more use of the cyberspace, I think the problem will be more. So there are several types of cybercrime, and that happens in today's world. Some of them are hacking. So personal computer broken and sensitive information stolen. So that's what is hacking. So variety of software is used to get access in that target computer of that victim. So the and computer may be hacked or accessed from remote location. So as I said, maybe a computer is being hacked in India from Ukraine, from anywhere else in the world, maybe from Afghanistan, maybe from Sri Lanka, maybe from anywhere else. So the next another part of cyber, or another type of cybercrime, is the identity theft. So the fraudulent acquisition of personal private identifying information for unlawful financial gain, stolen credit cards, criminal or stole credit cards, run huge bills and suffer card large loss. So they might sell that identity to other criminal for the same fashion. So I have already discussed a lot about this in the my other video on cyberspace. I'll surely share the link of that video of cyberspace in this video, so that as a referral, as a reference, you can just go through that video too. Then we come to cyber stalking and harassment. So obviously we know about cyber stalking. Every girl, I think, knows about it, and it is from our ages to your ages. Everywhere the cyber stalking is in a huge mode now. So use of the internet, emails, or other electronic communication devices. One can harass another person. So when a fake ad is posted on the internet providing personal information, name, address, photos of a victim, and stating that the victim is seeking partner for whatever, wrong means. So this is like a stalking or a harassment. So then we come to theft. Theft is always theft. So like crime that happens when somebody unlawfully downloads music, movie, games. Now suppose Radhe has released, it's a new film of Salman Khan, and then it has really isn't released in Z5 and the Zplex. Now it is chargeable. It's like, I think, 249 rupees is chargeable. It's a very small amount. Now, if somebody doesn't want to pay that and hack the Z5 site, or maybe the technologically they hack it, and they steal the film, download it, and then sell, maybe on a cheaper rate. So that's absolutely threat. So that's absolutely theft and threat to the industry. So because nobody will buy it at 250 rupees, 249 rupees, if somebody gets it for free, or maybe for 50 rupees. Quite obvious. So it covers all crimes of illegal downloading. It also, it also covers plagiarism and crime against intellectual property. Like, you cannot copy somebody else's intellectual work, somebody else's work of, brainchild, or somebody else's intellectual work. Then the next type of cyber crime is spoofing and phishing. Now, spoofing and phishing, everybody knows. Sweeping. We get into this. I think this type of a trouble, or this type of a being cheating many a times on this cyberspace. So, action of constructing a mimic duplicate site, which seems like an original one. You know. Uh, I think a few days back we found that on Facebook there were advertisements coming up about pita cat restaurant pita cat, that if you buy one yeah, chalo kebab and you get other free. There were a lot of people. There was a phone number provided, so there were a lot of people who called up this Peter card about this offer, and they said, okay, please, what we do is just transfer a minor amount of 50 rupees, and you can enjoy this offer. A chalo kebab is around 500, so like if for a gain of 500, and it's investing 50 rupees is just nothing, but it was an absolute fishing part. And obviously because it was a fake site in the name of Peter Cat, so obviously it is a part of spoofing too. So in that case what happened was, like, a lot of people did they give the bank details, and they have entered this clause, and then they have paid that 50 rupees. Once they pay 50 rupees, their account was empty. These cheaters. So then ultimately a lot of people were cheated in that, in this this in this crime. So like what happened was, this is absolutely duplicate site, and this site was never being handled by Peter Cat. Were some cheaters, some phishing people who has duplicated the Peter Cat site to cheat people and to get hold of the delicate informations about the credit card number and the details, so that their account can be hacked, and then amount can be scooped out from their account. So basically, technique used to gain unauthorized access to computers, sending messages to target computers with an IP address indicating the message coming from the trusted host. So finally, hacked email and password for connecting fraudulent apps. So these are basically spoofing and phishing. So then we'll get to the jurisdiction on cybercrime. Now, cybercrime doesn't have a specific jurisdiction. Obviously, you can understand, because a crime can be done, like cybercrime is such a type of a crime that can be done from any part of the world. So, what is jurisdiction? So, the power of a court to hear and determine a case. There are two types of jurisdiction in relation to cybercrime. So, one, so we're subject to matter of the jurisdiction, and two, personal jurisdiction. So wherever the problem has come up, the place of crime, that can be one, or other, or the person who has been cheated, his place, so wherever he stays, so that can be his jurisdiction. So one can be subject matter of jurisdiction, other can be personal jurisdiction. So these two types of jurisdiction is taken into due consideration when conflict regarding issue of jurisdiction is related to cybercrime arises. So apart from this provisions of cybercrime, conventions for state parties also plays meaning stand to determine jurisdiction. So when we talk about the jurisdiction part, we can, what is subject matter of jurisdiction. So competence of the court to hear and determine a particular category of case, check out whether a claim is actionable in the court where the case is filed. And the second part, the personal jurisdiction, is the competence of the court to determine whether the person is subject to the court in which case is filed, or is an authority over a person regardless to their location. So every state has personal jurisdiction over persons within its territory. State cannot exercise personal jurisdiction over any person who are outside the territory, and if had no if had no any, like, if had any kind of contact relation to state. So unless a state is party to any international convention which permits a state to take required operation, so that's where the problem of jurisdiction can be taken care of, and it can be easily handled. So now, case reference of cybercrime, obviously it has to start somewhere, it has to be referred to. So as we said, like, the age old cybercrime case was in 1820. So like, the next was absolutely in 2001, where literally computer was a huge case, and huge options, and then it started off into a in the digital world, in the cyberspace started off. So United States were versus Ivanov, US District Court of Connecticut at 2001. So face of the case was defendant Ivanov and co-defendant John William Butenko were convicted of conspiring to transmit to the Soviet Union information relating to the national defense of the United States. So he was indicated for conspiracy, computer fraud, extortion, and possession of illegal access devices. So the claim of defendant was Ivanov appealed to dismiss the case, claiming that the court lacked subject matter jurisdiction. He argued because he was physically located in Russia when the offense committed. So the offense was in Russia, but then the place of offense was U.S. You can understand, two countries and jurisdiction of two countries. Handling two countries jurisdiction at one platform is at times very tough. But then, as far as cyber law concerned, yes, it can be done. So what was the decision of the court? The court decision was the court denied Ivanov's motion on the ground because the intended and actual detrimental effect of Ivanov's action in Russia occurred within the United States, and also because each of the statutes under which Ivanov was charged with a substantive offense was intended by Congress to apply extraterritorially. So therefore was held guilty to several crimes including computer intrusion and computer fraud. So he was sentenced for 48 months of prison. So that's the decision of the court. So, what's the conclusion when we talk about cybercrime? So, cybercrime is intended getting the reorganization it deserves. Every new technology and every new application also will reversely create an opportunity that criminals will soon seek to exploit. So, obvious, bigger the world, bigger the digital space, bigger the cyberspace, more will be the crime, and more will be people exploiting the space. Quite obvious. So apart from that, to be safe, we must need to develop strong cybersecurity, and one has to be really very careful when using the digital sources and the cyberspace. At any point of time, you have to always work rationally. you know you have to think very critically that any information offered to a person who you don't know, or you without counter checking the identity, you can put you to a real trouble. So all the nation need to be part of the international momentum against cybercrime. Everyone has to be. The cyber law also needs to evolve with the rapidly changing technology, and moreover we have to understand something, that cyber crime, whatever we know as of today, will increase. If we talk tomorrow, maybe we'll have some more new ways of cybercrime, because it's a huge space. The space is it's developing, and with the development of technology, we will have technologically developed hackers, technologically developed cheaters, and technologically developed crime and the criminals. So, well, we'll conclude with cybercrime. Thank you so much. I'll surely, share the link of the tutorial of cyberspace. I think that can be a good reference when you go through the cybercrime. A bit of cyberspace is something you should go through, and obviously the Intellectual Property Act. So please go through these two. So this will be a bit more easier when you talk about, when you read cyber law. So read cyber law with accompany with a cyberspace and intellectual property right. Okay, so and the Intellectual Property Act, sorry. So thank you, and stay safe, everybody.